Hello, fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. In today's video, I would like to celebrate Dinovember. I was hoping to get this out much earlier in November, but November went absolutely crazy for me, and this is the earliest that I could get it out. So, Dinovember was started by Brian from Bad Taste Books and Andrea from Infinite Text, with the idea being that people would read dinosaur books in November. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea. And I read a dinosaur story. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'll link this specific video where Brian wears a dinosaur costume and reads us a book. It's wonderful. And we'll also share Andrea's video introducing Dinovember in the description as well. All right, what did I read for Dinovember? The minute I thought about this, I thought of one specific story. It's a very famous story. I wouldn't be surprised I'm not the only one that does it. It was originally published in Ray Bradbury's The Golden Apples of the Sun, but I read it in Dinosaur Tales by Ray Bradbury. This is such a cool book. Really, truly one of my favorite Ray Bradbury books that I own. It just is all of his dinosaur tales put into one book, and each one is illustrated by a different writer. And I, of course, picked his, I think, most famous dinosaur story, which is called A Sound of Thunder. I haven't read this since I was a kid, and it was really, really fun. And this is illustrated by William Stout. And this book, I'm telling you guys, is just absolutely gorgeous. This is such a quick read. I think I read it in like 25 minutes. It's really, really fast. But this book does such an incredible job of illustrating every part of the story. Oh, man, look at that. This to me is the quintessential dinosaur story that I think of when I think of dinosaur stories. This was the first thing that came to mind when Andrea started talking to me about Dinovember. For a couple of reasons. It is interesting because it's also the quintessential time travel paradox story. I feel like this is the first story I ever read that really, truly taught me about the concept of the time paradox. That if you go back in time and do something crazy like step on a butterfly, you're going to mess up the entire timeline. And I feel like that's kind of the heart of the tale, and probably what makes the tale really cool science fiction. Bradbury does a very good job of describing causality, and like if you do something here, it's going to mess up the future there in this story. But for me, the most memorable part of this story is the description of the dinosaurs. I mean, he makes them so real. And I think that this is something that I really respect about Ray Bradbury, is he understood that there was primal fear in us as humans, and that the farther we delve into society, the farther away we get from these original fears. For instance, the concept of a lion is pretty scary, but if I bring up a lion, most people think of zoos and safaris and looking at them from far away. But if you were being stalked by a lion, and he does this in The Veldt, which is my favorite Ray Bradbury story of all. If you were being suddenly stalked by a lion, it would unleash in you a fear, a primordial fear, a fear that would harken back generations. It's strange. Even a little cat, when a little cat hisses, it'll scare the shit out of you. It's so strange. And I mean, there's a YouTube video where a cat hisses and scares off a bear, right? This little creature can make this terrifying sound. So we forget how truly terrifying this would be. And of course, Ray Bradbury brings the concept of hunting into this story. This is a story about people going back in time in order to bag the biggest game possible, dinosaurs, specifically Tyrannosaurus Rex. So it's a little bit about trophy hunting, and it's about the actual adrenaline dumping fear you would experience if you saw a freaking dinosaur. That we can't comprehend what it would really be like to see a dinosaur, and that's what makes Ray Bradbury so freaking cool, is that he can bring this up in us. Let me read just a little bit of the description of the Tyrannosaurus Rex in this tale. The jungle was wide and full of twitterings, rustlings, murmurs, and sighs. Suddenly it all ceased, as if someone had shut a door. Silence, a sound of thunder. Out of the mist, 100 yards away, came Tyrannosaurus Rex. Jesus God, whispered Eccles. Shh! It came on great, oiled, resilient, striding legs. It towered 30 feet above half of the trees, a great evil god, folding its delicate watchmaker's claws close to its oily reptilian chest. Each lower leg was a piston, 1,000 pounds of white bone sunk in thick ropes of muscle, sheathed over in a gleam of pebbled skin, like the mail of a terrible warrior. Each thigh was a ton of meat, ivory, and steel mesh, and from the great breathing cage of the upper body, those two delicate arms dangled out front. Arms with hands which might pick up and examine men like toys, while the snake neck coiled, and the head itself, a ton of sculptured stone, lifted easily upon the sky, its mouth gaped, exposing a fence of teeth like daggers. Its eyes rolled, ostrich eggs, empty of all expression save hunger. It closed its mouth in a deadly grin. It ran, its pelvic bones crushing aside trees and bushes, its taloned feet clawing damp earth, leaving prints 6 inches deep wherever it settled its weight. It ran with a gliding ballet step, far too poised and balanced for its 10 tons. It moved into a sunlit area warily, its beautiful reptile hands feeling the air. What a description. The reality of that situation. I think that's one of the powers that Ray Bradbury has as a writer, is that he can take something that we can easily imagine, but say, no, when you imagine this, you're leaving out all the real detail. Let me put in the detail, and boy, Ray Bradbury puts in the detail, and it kicks so much ass. Best description of a Tyrannosaurus Rex I've ever read. It's still, I mean, that's what I thought of right away. I was like, oh my God, the way that he talks about Tyrannosaurus Rex and Sound of Thunder, that's what I have to do for Dinovember. I remembered it from all those years past because it was so well done. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, the best description of a dinosaur. Really, really wonderful. And of course, Eccles' reaction to this is just pure terror. I know, like, some of the other hunters take shots, but they have to puke afterwards, and like it is a huge wake-up call of, like, you want to hunt the biggest beast? Check this out. Yeah, really incredibly done. The rest of the story is good. You know, he runs off the path. The Sound of Thunder image, although it's an audible image, throughout the story makes a comeback at the very end that is really an incredible twist. You'll have to read it for yourself to find out what that is. But for me, everything else pales just in the fact that Ray Bradbury made dinosaurs real for me. Like this was beyond the little toys I played with in the backyard. This was real, terrifying murder machine dinosaur. Just incredibly done. incredibly done. So if you want to read a good dinosaur story, The Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury is my suggestion. I did not go to a natural history museum, but I did find some dinosaurs. Took some pictures, as you can see here. My favorite dinosaur since I was a kid was always the Triceratops. I really, with the shield and the three horns, I love that dinosaur. I think it's so cool. It's probably too late for my vote to go in, but yeah, Triceratops all day. Thank you very much, Andrea and Brian, for putting this Dinovember together. It was a wonderful idea. I'm sorry that I couldn't participate more, but I'm glad that I was able to participate at all. And I was able to talk about my favorite piece of dinosaur literature of all time, which is this story. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.